YouTube. How the devil are you doing? It's Cool King checking in again on behalf of the EDC Cooperative, and today I want to talk to you about this, the Vault case. The company Vault Case Co. Contacted us a few months ago now and asked us if we wanted to review one of their items. We jumped at the chance. It's a good opportunity for us to work with companies, and it's also partly what we're all about, is so that you can see an item and we can give you, an honest opinion on something, and see if you like it. If you don't, then you can stay away from it, can't you? Again, that's what we're all about. So they sent us two. So this one is going to be given away at some point on Instagram, and I have one that's already fully loaded here. I've used it for about 3 weeks now. I've taken it away with me for a long weekend away in that time, and I have actually genuinely used it and been able to sort of gauge my own personal opinion on it. So let's get down to it. So here we have it. It's quite a hard sort of material, this outer case. If you have a drone, for example, it's the sort of material that some of the drone cases that I have are made out of. Stitching around the outside, I think they call them like reverse stitch zips. Quite good quality. Nice little handle on the top. Nice little bit of material there. I have actually carried mine full like that as well. Works. Double zip on the thing, and it opens up. So I'll show you this empty one first. In fact, I'll move that one out of the way. I'll show you this empty one first and sort of explain everything to you. So obviously when you open it up, it's a clamshell design. You'll see that moves. We'll come to that in a second. There is this sort of mesh sort of netting here, revealing these two sort of pockets, squares here. These are actually removable. There we go. Let's take them out. Sort of go through them with you. So it's not hook and loop material per se. It's material that accepts the hook material, and there is actually a piece of loop there to sort of close that, which comes in handy for items that have been in there, but we'll come to that shortly. So this simple sort of hook and loop field there, fit your hand in there if you needed to. Maybe storage for patches there, don't know, wouldn't like to say. These are quite narrow fields, these, and then obviously they're very narrow at the end there. You might get a pen in there. I don't think I tried to get a pen in there on mine. We'll have a look in a minute. So you can put that one there, that's fine. You have a spare one, you don't have to put that there, but then you've got this middle sort of divider, which is removable as well, which could come in useful depending what you're going to stuff in there and there. This could just be used as protection between the two sort of sides so you don't scratch them, or you could use this for your main storage area. And then these two on the rear are exactly the same as the front two, however the webbing is of a different size, as is the webbing on this. So you've got like a small webbing, medium webbing, large webbing. So I like that idea because you can shove that there, so you can have varying items at the front and the back, and get used to sort of splitting your gear up, I suppose. So that's quite nice setup. I'll show you how mine is at the moment. It was completely jam-packed when I took it away with me. I'll post a couple of pictures in this video as to how it was set up then. I've taken a lot of the stuff out of it at the moment. So as you can see, I've got the two sort of small loop field pockets in the front there. Just about fits. This is an EGTAC D25 Ti. It's quite tight. to get it in and obviously out. I end up turning it on when I go in. Didn't that time, it's probably stretched a little bit maybe. We've got a ray light there, probably the biggest sort of thing that you could fit in it. The surge bean with a pocket clip on it does fit in there quite nicely, and you might fit something else a bit smaller still in the same sort of line quite nicely. And then we've got a Griffin pocket tool there that fits in nicely. Hank over the top. I am conscious that sort of this stuff could come in contact with the stuff that's on this side and scratch it potentially. Again, I suppose that's just down to how you would pack it up. This isn't how I had it packed up on the when I was using it, you know, for my holiday. It's just to give you an idea. These ones in the middle are large sort of opening things, so everything in here is reasonably loose. Obviously the pen isn't because that's in there. While we're on the pen, let's just see if that fits down there. Oh, it's tight. Yeah, you could probably fit a pen down the outside bit there, but it's a bit tight, so I won't force it on video. Yeah, so this quite tight, all this. You know, it's not going to go anywhere. It's secure. Once it's zipped up and you're sort of carrying it by the handle, it's not going to come out. It might just slide down, and if you wanted to remove that, you can. I like the fact that this is sort of hook and loop here, so you can store a couple of patches. I do like taking a couple of patches with me when I've got something like this, and I could fit more on. However, if you can see, that's sort of bending off there, and that's obviously because of what's been stored in front and behind it, so it's something to be mindful of. This sort of field on the back, as I showed you before, you can chop and change these about, but that's a Leatherman Wingman, nice and secure in the medium size slot, again with a titanium pocket tool and CVJ mini jack there, nice and thing. That doesn't fit anywhere, so you might potentially have loose items. It depends what you want to do. I had this stuff with Swiss Army knives, so that worked out quite well. I was quite scared, so I had this sort of over the middle, as I've just shown. So in the past, I've used this from a company. Obviously, I like the fact that this has got a place to put a patch on the front. Quite upset that this hasn't. You know, if I wanted to put my name on it, for example, so I've got the Cooler King one there. If I wanted to put that on there, that'd be nice. If I wanted to sort of put Swiss Army knife label or Spyderco, then I know that it's my Spyderco collection. I know that it's my Swiss Army knife collection. That'd be quite nice to be able to do that. Again, not a massive gripe, so I'm not that bothered. I just like having something so that I know that this is mine, because I know, for example, Ben uses the exact same pouch, so if it had nothing on the front, we'd potentially get mixed up, and I'd end up having a lot of his nice gear, and he'd end up with some of my not so nice gear. Anyway, yeah, so this is what I've had in the past, and exactly the same sort of thing. I normally, if I was to go to a knife show, this would be full, but I'd have a couple of hanks in the middle anyway to what I was taking, but it just acts as a little bit of protection. So I do like the fact that this has got something a bit more substantial in the middle. However, it could potentially be full of items as well, so you've still got this sort of side to contend with. When this is full, you know, it balloons, and when this was full, it was quite tight, and I can actually feel, I don't know if you can see there, I can fit my fingers in there because that's quite full, and you know, all we've got is a Leatherman on that side and a Benchmade bailout on the top, so that's obviously it could be the, yeah, I think the surge beam might just be tipping it over the edge. Let's just have a look. No, I can still feel it there. I can still fit my fingers in there. So there you go. Again, it just comes down to how you're going to fill it, what you're going to store in it, I would have said, as to how well it's going to work for you. It works perfectly with all the Swiss Army knives in there. When you start throwing other things in, it could potentially cause you issues if you didn't pack it correctly. Right, so there you have it. I've sort of waffled on quite a bit. I will just tell you, VOLT, they've actually made it into a bit of an acronym. So the V stands for versatility, which obviously is quite versatile in the fact that you can move out your things. The A was accessibility. Again, everything's laid out in front of you, so I do like that sort of thing. The U, utility, fairly utilitarian. L, what was the L? Layout. And T was toughness. So all in all, it's well thought out. There are just the little things that I would say I'd like a hook and loop field on the front. Might be a bit of a pain to do because of the material. Not a deal breaker. Is it something that I would potentially buy myself? Now that I've seen it, yes. After seeing a few of the pictures on Instagram, originally I was in two minds as whether it was something that I would use. As I say, the one that I've got there I have used. I got on with it. It just comes down to the way that you pack it, I think. If I was to go to Blade, which could happen in 2020, maybe, this is something that I'd quite happily fill with a lot of my gear and put it in my suitcase, in my luggage, and say goodbye to it, knowing that obviously it was going to be safe and secure together in this, and safe and secure in my suitcase as well, and wouldn't be too worried about it. I wouldn't sleep a wink on the plane, but you know, that's it. This, as I say, will be given away on Instagram, most probably. So if you don't follow us on Instagram and you're not a member of the group on Facebook, you don't follow the page on Facebook, you need to go and do that first, and you'll see that sometime in the next few days, early New Year 2020, this will go live as a giveaway. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. If you don't, that's fine, don't bother. But yeah, cheers for watching, and all the best. See you later.